and the fact that we can't even say keywords. We can't even talk to each
Here
other
we are.
keywords. I mean, we're literally live streaming right now. We have to kind of go like this. And what are your thoughts on that?
It's tyranny. It's thought control. It's the freedom of speech is one of the most basics. And so it's appalling to me that you have corporations taking upon themselves. Yeah,
what are your thoughts
in
on
the public commons? You have this is the public square of our time, and the principles. I mean, let's say if the shoe was on the other foot, and if it was the other wing of the spectrum, imposing speech restrictions on the one that has the power right now, do you think that they would be saying, "Oh no, corporations can do whatever they want"? Those are the people that warned us for so many decades about the corporate power and the danger thereof. And I agreed with them. And they were right, and now we're seeing the fruits of that. And you have the people that maybe defended too much acquisition of corporate power now crying foul, and they're like, you guys have no credibility. I wasn't pointing at Jonathan there. Sorry. The wings of the spectrum. That's the world we live in, and I think it doesn't need any real commentary for people to know and notice that absolute censorship is happening on big tech platforms, and it's not a sign of a healthy, well-functioning democracy when you have to shut down opposition speech. Speech needs to be protected. But it's offensive. You know, you said something offensive, but isn't that the only kind of speech that needs protecting?
It is.
It's no other non-offensive speech doesn't need to be protected. So the only purpose...
How do you coexist that way?
Yeah, exactly. The only purpose of freedom of speech principles is to make sure offensive speech is allowed.
Where do you draw the line?
Fire in a crowded theater is one example from a Supreme Court decision. It's fair enough. A clear and present danger is what it promotes, it presents. I should hand it over to the attorney on the constitutional law side, but you can't make threats. But yeah, you can say that somebody else feeling offended is not a threat.
I'll give you an example.
That hurt my feelings.
There's a radio station, this is kind of a famous case. The radio station holds a competition to see who can drink the most amount of water. And some lady drinks enough water that she kills herself. It's possible you can do that. And the radio station lost their license. The FCC took it away, and they couldn't rely on freedom of speech, like I can say whatever I want. That's kind of like you're shouting fire in a building. So that's another example. I do think that what's happened now is that, especially the larger corporations, is they're kind of quasi-government, and we see something going on now that's incredibly dangerous to our liberties, where what the government cannot do because of the Constitution, it encourages and funds and helps corporations to do for them.
They are outsourcing the tyranny.
They're outsourcing the tyranny, exactly. And the other thing, corporations are really modern development. The kind of corporations that we have today just don't exist. When some people go, oh, but what about like even these colonies, the American colonies? Those were actually corporations. Some of them. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? That took a signature from the king. Mm-hmm. Okay. It took an act of parliament. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if I want a corporation, I just sit down at my laptop, and 20 minutes later, and I pay $80, and I've got one, right? And it's got all the powers and responsibilities and just everything, as if I just founded General Motors, okay? But back then, and then the American corporate law, it used to be that you could only form a corporation when you went to the legislature, convinced them you had something for the public benefit that wouldn't get done unless you had a corporation, then they'd give you one. I'll give you an example of that. Let's say you need to build a dam, big dam, right? Well, the liability of a dam breaking, you got to say, and by the way, this dam is going to provide water and power for the community so everybody wins. Now they'll give you the corporation. It used to be that hard to get a corporation. Now, I form corporations all the time.